the Bagpipes was one of my grandmother's favorite songs. She would turn it on every now and then and just sit there and weep. I guess every now and then she needed a good cry and a release, so she would watch whatever and things like that. And this is what this clip is about. It's about my grandmother and I. I was raised by my grandparents till I was 9 or 10, and they got a divorce, and my grandmother had to work extremely hard to be able to provide for me and help her kids and things like that. And I had told the story in the previous clips that I had made that are no longer available on Facebook, but it's about death and dying, because when my grandmother died, I felt her presence. It was something that was going on with me, and it may or may not have been. In the eulogy, I was like, I can feel you right here. There was a long period of time where I didn't turn to God or Jesus regarding the pain that I was in from losing her. And I was connected to her. Everything in the spiritual realm I thought of as her and me being together, and the pain was just, I mean, it was almost unbearable. That kind of love that you have with somebody that, you know, nobody could ever love you any more than this person on earth who thinks that the sun just rises and sets, you know. And I was the epicenter of her whole life. And it was very difficult when she passed away. But the point that I want to make is this, because I made the same, I don't want to say mistake, but I perceive things the same way as a lot of people. Oftentimes you'll hear a lot of people say, you know, oh my God, I could feel my grandma in that church, or oh Lord, you know, we were crossing this bridge and I swear it was my uncle that intervened and saved us and all that. I think that sometimes we hang on to people's memory and like to think that somehow the people that we love in this life are looking over us, that they are there with us, that they have never really left in spirit. And I would never try to break that kind of porcelain image of what people feel and what they know, and I would never want to tell people that they were wrong. But the one point that I just want to make with this clip, and then hopefully I can just, you know, end it real quick here, is that people who pass on, they don't have any concept of us. They don't have any concept of what suffering we're going through, the pain we're going through, because if they had any idea of being in heaven in the kingdom and they knew what was going on earth, then their soul would not be at peace, their soul would not be at rest, they would not be in heaven. So I think a lot of times in some capacity with punishment, or how it ties into these, you know, different universes, people talk about purgatory. A place where souls are just kind of kept. And there's prayers for that, to release these souls from purgatory. But I will leave you with one really interesting way that God shows me things about my grandmother, that she's fine and she's well. Before my grandmother had passed away, about a year before she died, our neighbors borrowed $1,000 from her when she was sick and not able to, she wasn't making wise decisions, and they knew that, and they prayed on that. She got really sick and she was nearing her deathbed. And I went in and I sat down by her bed and I was holding her hand, and she said, Angela, I've got to tell you something. You're going to be so mad at me. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, I didn't pay for my cremation. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, the money that I was going to use to pay for my cremation, I gave to the neighbors, Pat and whatever the hell her husband's name was. And I just could not believe it. And we had to scramble at the end. Larry Juday and the whole Barb Holbrook and a bunch of people got together to help me. I mean, I was so discombobulated and exhausted anyway. This news just freaked me out, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. And everyone pulled together to get the money to have her cremated. Well, there were, my mother insisted that I sue the next door neighbors. They were living in this country illegally. The license plates on their cars were expired. They avoided paying their rent. There were all these reasons for, you know, this whole love thy neighbor, hate thy neighbor thing. My mom was just livid, and she wanted to just throttle them, just kill them. She was so angry. And I wasn't. And I decided, okay, well fine, I'll sue for the $1,000 even though I'm never going to see it. Well, my grandmother loved the Judge Judy show. She absolutely loved the Judge Judy show. She watched it as much as she could. And my grandma had always wanted to be like involved in law. So basically what happened is I wrote out this big long letter to the judge about why it was that I was suing. And it was very articulate, very well stated, you know, pretty open and shut case. And I saw Judge Judy on the Katie Couric show just a couple days ago, and it reminded me of this story. I filed and this and that. The Judge Judy show called. I came home from class one day, my boyfriend said, "You're not going to believe who called." I said, "Who?" And he said, "The Judge Judy show." And I'm like, how do they even know me? Well, when I wrote the letter to the judge, I included my contact information. And so anyway, they called just out of the blue, and I talked to the producer for over an hour, and she said, "You have an open and shut case." And I was like, they won't come. Because if they would have gone on the Judge Judy show, I could have got my money from the Judge Judy show. To me, that was one of the most amazing ways that God could ever, you know, show me that, you know, my grandmother will always be alive in me and through the things that I remember about her. And I think that He's the one that puts those things in front of us. It isn't necessarily the people that we have loved and lost that do these things, but rather God that gives us little pieces of memories and beautiful things just to let us know He's got His flock. Alright, this is Angela. Thanks for watching, and remember, wherever you go, there you are.